Okay, so what is the actual difference between a pile of bricks and a house? I know, it sounds almost too simple, right? But it's a deep puzzle that philosophers have wrestled with for ages. Today, we're diving into Aristotle's absolutely brilliant answer to the question, what truly makes a thing a thing?
This question really gets to the heart of everything we're talking about today. I mean, think about it. A house and a pile of bricks could be made of the exact same materials, down to the last molecule. And yet, we know intuitively that they are fundamentally different. One is a complete functional whole, and the other is, well, it's just a pile. So where does that wholeness actually come from?
So on one hand, you've got the house. It's a unified whole, right? It's defined by its purpose, to be a shelter. On the other hand, you've got the pile of bricks. It's just a random collection, an aggregate of parts with no real function or definition. And let me tell you, this exact distinction between a true one and a mere many was something Aristotle was completely obsessed with.
To crack this puzzle, Aristotle gives us this incredibly powerful tool, a concept he calls substance. This is his big idea, his answer to what makes something a single, real, individual thing in the first place.
The original Greek word is ousia, and for Aristotle, this is literally the bedrock of reality. Now, we're not talking about some vague, abstract idea floating around. We're talking about a concrete, individual this person, this horse, this tree. It's the most fundamental thing that everything else is built on.
Just think about it for a second. Properties like tall or fast or green, they can't just float around in the universe all by themselves, can they? They need something to be tall or fast. They need a substance to, stick to. A horse can be brown, but the quality of brownness itself isn't galloping across a field.
And that's exactly why Aristotle calls substance the ultimate subject of predication. It's the foundation that has all the other properties. You can describe a person in a million ways, their height, their hair color, their personality, but eventually you hit the person themselves. That's the final stop, the end of the line for your description. You just can't break that person down into some deeper, more fundamental subject. So if a substance is this foundational thing, the next logical question is, can you slice it up? Can you divide a thing and get two smaller things out of it? For Aristotle, the answer to that is a hard no, and here's why. He argues that what makes a substance what it is isn't really its physical matter, the bricks and mortar, so to speak, but its form. And by form, he doesn't mean its physical shape. He means its essence, its internal organizing principle. It's the very nature that makes it a unified whole. For a human, for instance, this essence is what he calls being a rational animal. Now here's the massive logical trap that Aristotle's trying to avoid. If you say that the essence itself is made of parts, well, you've got a huge problem. What holds those parts together? You'd need some other unifying principle, some higher level form to do that job. And then what holds the parts of that form together? You see? It's a never-ending rabbit hole, an infinite regress that explains absolutely nothing. The way out of this trap is to see that the essence is a logical unity, not a physical one you can take apart. Rational and animal aren't two separate things that you just glue together to make a person. They are inseparable parts of a single definition. The moment you take away rational, you don't get a smaller human, you get an entirely different kind of being. You've destroyed the original substance.
Okay, this idea of organic unity, it really clicks when we compare a living thing, an organism, to just a simple pile of stuff.
Look, if you split a pile of stones, what do you get? Two smaller piles of stones. Easy. It's the same kind of thing, but if you try to divide a horse, you absolutely do not get two smaller, living horses. You just get a collection of parts that are no longer a horse. The original substance is gone. It's been destroyed.
And this brings us to one of Aristotle's most famous quotes. It's a powerful, and yeah, maybe a little gruesome, but it makes the point perfectly. A hand that's been cut off from a body might still look like a hand, but it isn't one, not in the real sense.
So let's follow the logic here. What makes a hand a hand? Its function, right? Its ability to grasp, to feel, to do all the things a hand does. But, and this is the key, that function is completely dependent on it being part of a living body. The second it's separated, it loses that function. It loses its essence. And at that point, it's just a hand in name only, like a drawing of a hand.
This table really just lays it all out, nice and clear. For a true substance, like a horse, the whole is what defines the parts. A heart is only a heart because it's doing its job inside a living thing. But for a heap, it's the other way around. The parts define the whole. The pile is just what happens when you throw a bunch of stones together.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. Let's recap exactly why, for Aristotle, a real thing, a substance, is fundamentally one and indivisible. So first, it's the ultimate subject. Remember, the buck stops there. Second, its very essence is a unifying principle, not some kind of Lego assembly of smaller parts. Third, it has that organic unity we talked about, where the whole comes first and defines its parts. And finally, because of all that, when you try to divide it, you don't get smaller versions of the thing, you just destroy it.
So Aristotle gives us this amazing, powerful framework for what makes something a single, unified one. But here's the final question, the one that this leaves us with. What does that mean for us? I mean, we are constantly changing, right? Our cells are replaced, our thoughts change, we have new experiences every single day. If our identity is this indivisible, unified whole, how do we stay the same person from one moment to the next? And that is the fascinating puzzle this ancient idea leaves for us to think about.